All right, we are live.
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
I have a very motivating, inspiring guest. In fact, I got a little choked up there. Today on the Sisterhood of Sweat, the amazing Todd Durkin is in the house with me. And I got to see him receive his Jack LaLanne Award at the World Idea Blog Fest in Las Vegas. And it was beyond amazing to listen to him, to watch him with his kids on the stage. And they were doing Jack LaLanne push-ups with the fingertips. And those are not that easy. They are not that easy.
They are not.
I love it. I love it. He got his whole family involved. His mom was there. How old is your mom?
83 years young.
83. She was chanting the whole thing when we were doing this crazy off the hook boot camp. His wife was there, Melanie, his kids. It was amazing. So I'm just going to tell you without any further ado a little bit more about Todd. Todd Durkin, MA, CSCS, is an internationally recognized strength, speed, and conditioning coach, personal trainer, body worker, motivational speaker, and author who motivates, educates, and inspires people worldwide. He is the founder of FitQuest 10. Oh, Fitness Quest. I'm sorry. I used to work at FitQuest.
It's all good. It's all good. I love it. I love
it. Fitness Quest 10 in San Diego, California, a world-class facility that provides personal training, strength and conditioning, therapeutic massage and bodywork, Pilates, yoga, nutrition, chiropractic, and physical therapy programs. Todd works with high-profile clientele of elite professional athletes. This includes NFL MVPs, Super Bowl champions, and Heisman Trophy winners, Olympic and X Game gold medalists, and many other champion athletes. He is a two-time Personal Trainer of the Year, IDEA, and ACE, and has received numerous industry accolades. That was a faux pas there, sorry. And he is one of the most top 100 influential people in health and fitness for the past 4 years. His gym, FitQuest 10, was named one of America's top 10 gyms by Men's Health for the past 5 years. And in addition to high-profile athletes, he attracts many fitness enthusiasts of all ages, shapes, sizes, and levels who want to improve their overall health and fitness performance. His team of 38 trainers, coaches, and therapists deliver results to over 500 clients weekly. And I just can't stop because I've got to tell you, he has appeared on 60 Minutes, ESPN, the NFL Network, and he's been featured in Sports Illustrated, US Today, Men's Health, Men's Fitness, ESPN the Magazine, Stack Magazine, the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, and many others. He was also featured as a trainer on NBC's hit fitness show Strong. Welcome, Todd Durkin, to the show.
What an introduction. Thank you, Linda.
You're so welcome. I mean, geez, with a reputation like that, you got to put it all out there. I mean, come on.
Hey, I'm just getting started, baby. I'm just getting started.
I love that. I love that. I heard you say that on a podcast where you said you felt like you're just getting started in life and you have so much more to give. And that is the attitude I want to bring to the people out there today, is that attitude of there's more ahead.
Always. I think, I always say to myself, your best days are still yet to come. And I think when we have the hope that tomorrow is going to even be brighter than today, that keeps us really purpose driven on that stuff. There's nothing worse than just kind of living back in nostalgia and just reflecting upon the good times in the past. I do think it's an important part to do reflect and to look back, but never to spend the majority of our time, energy, or effort in reflection, but upon what's about to come.
Awesome. I love that. I love that. How about those Eagles?
Fly, Eagles, fly, baby. I'm so pumped up for the Eagles. That was a great win by the Eagles. I got a couple guys I train. One of the coaches as well is a guy I used to train for about 9 years. And I was pulling for the Eagles big time.
Oh my God. And you had a little dose of Durkin in there, right? Was there a little dose of Durkin in the Eagles?
Well, there definitely was. Unfortunately, one of my guys was hurt. Darren Sproles was hurt with a bad knee, injured midseason ACL. So he wasn't able to play in the game. But Zach Ertz, the tight end, Pro Bowl tight end, is a guy that I've worked with for a few years now. And he had the game-winning touchdown. And Zach Ertz is a throwback kind of a guy. He's a grinder. He's a hard worker. He's a student of the game. And it was great to see Zach win the trophy. And then Justin Peele is a guy that I've worked with. Again, he's a tight ends coach now, but Justin's a guy that I worked with 9 years when he was a player in the league for the Chargers, Falcons, and the Dolphins. And to see him now on the other side as a coach get his first Super Bowl ring is really, really awesome.
Wow. I mean, I was the only person in my family, we had a party rooting for the Eagles. And it was all because I'm a woman, I just went by the intuition, and I had a green blanket and my mother was wearing green. And I'm like, I think the Eagles are going to win it. So there you go. That was my.
I love it, Linda.
Well, I love you. I love your book, the wow factor. It's like amazing as far as like inspiration daily. I could go to it. I could read a page out and get something to kickstart my day. What brought, this whole like wow factor to the surface where you were doing it in your boot camps, you were having a daily wow. And then how did this evolve into a book and a movement?
Well, like most things, they start small, right? I think we always have big dreams and we start small. And that's what it was. I just had the idea of starting to share what I called the word of the week each week with my mastermind group. And at the time, it was a small group of fitness professionals. And each week on Sunday night, I would share the word of the week. Maybe it was on believe or courage or overcome or audacity or all in or love or faith or commitment, whatever it was. And I started to do these, and they were short. They take me 15, 20 minutes to write each one. And I did that for several years. And during this time, I found that people were really liking it and asking for more. And I'd share more and more and more. And all of a sudden, it grew into something where hundreds of people were asking for it. So that was the impetus of the WOW book starting. But it was more in 2012, I went on a trip with my wife, Melanie, and we went over to Europe. And she said, hey, it's time for your next book. And next thing I know, that was the seed of the beginning of the WOW book. And I had already written a lot of them, but I just went back and really went deep on that and had 52 of my best WOWs to create 52 words of the week to create your best year. And I wanted those to be short stories that were 2 to 3 pages long and always had an action step. And the action step would allow you to propel forward in whatever the word of the week was. And many of them are personal anecdotes, whether it be working with my athletes or a story from business or wearing my dad hat, as a parent. So they're very personal stories. But what I found is by sharing them, a lot of people can relate to those stories, and they need that little juice, that little wow in their life to help remind them of what's really important in life.
Wow. Yeah. Oh,
wow. See?
Wow. So how can we live a life that is a little more filled with wow moments?
Well, I think to live a life with more wow moments, it actually takes intentionality. You have to have an intention of how you want your life to be. And perhaps everyone, that's listening in today loves where they're at in their life. But most human beings, they're searching for a deeper meaning. They want more out of life. And I think that starts with setting intentions of what you truly want. What's your divine purpose? What's it all about? What are you about? What are the gifts that are inside of you? And what steps do you need to take in order to potentiate all that is within you? See, the power is within all of us, but it takes other people to draw that strength, that those gifts out of us. And that's what I love to do as a coach and as a trainer, both to athletes and the people here at my gym, Fitness Quest 10, but also to other fit pros that I work with in my mastermind and mentorship program, things like that. Or if I'm doing a speaking engagement and I'm talking about creating wow, I'm doing an engagement tomorrow for a group, and it's non-fit pros, it's people that want more wow in their life. And what I always recommend to people is, how do you create more magical moments in your life? And typically your magical moments come when you're away with your family, or you're on vacation, or you're capturing some really small things like at the breakfast table, and there's a conversation with your 9-year-old son or daughter, and she or he says something profound that makes you stop in your tracks and think about just how precious life is. So it's really being aware of your surroundings and being aware of who is in your life, not what's in your life, but who is in your life. And to me, that's when you're living with more wow, is when you're intentional, when you're more aware, when you're living in a present state of the here and now, and not always looking forward to what's next. Allowing that to kind of motivate you, but staying present with your conversations right now.
I love that. Being present in the moment is crucial. And I know you train a lot of athletes, high profile athletes, NFL players, Heisman Trophy winners, Olympic athletes. I mean, it's just off the hook, and just your regular average Joe off the street. I mean, like, what is the mindset? What is the champion mindset that you instill in them and that they have to be able to win a gold medal?
Well, it really does come down to training hard, eating right, and living inspired. I mean, anyone that wants to be a champion in life, and doesn't need to be an athlete, it could be an executive, it could be a mom or dad, you gotta dial in your training. You gotta train at your absolute best level, and you've got to make sure nutrition's dialed in as well. So what do you need to do to improve your nutrition? Because every time you eat something, there's a hormonal response that happens. We want to make sure that we're putting ourselves in a winning state. And then obviously living inspired to me is getting your mind right? Living inspired is how do you fill up your mind and your heart to make sure you're in a space that puts you in an environment to succeed. Who you hang out with, who you train with, what your home environment is like, what you're reading, what you're watching on TV. Everything matters. Every single thing that you do matters. So how do you set up an environment that's winning? See, if I was to go into an NFL locker room and I was going to their facilities, I'm going to see several different types of cultures. And you want to create a winning culture. I believe that's from the color on the walls to the slogans that you read, to the actual layout of the weight room, to the expectations by the coaches placed on their athletes, to what you recommend your athletes should be taking in via podcast, via reading books, studying their playbooks, watching videotape, preparation. Like, all of these little things add up. And people are like, well, how did he or she become a champion? Well, becoming a champion typically is many, many, many small victories over periods of time that had a lot of setbacks, adversity, challenge, strife, and someone had to overcome that to become a champion. So to me, mindset is really important. Now, as you know, Linda, I've got a lot of little things I do with my athletes and with my clients, and even myself, that I do. I snap my band to make sure my mind is right. I get my gray hoodie and I put my hoodie on to make sure my mind is right. Like, these aren't things I just say. Like, I do them myself because I don't want to have negative self-talk. And too many people have negative self-talk, and they beat themselves up with why they're not good enough, why they're not smart enough, why they're not deserving of this or that. And they self-defeat themselves. So how do you overcome that and put yourself in a place where you can manifest what you desire and not live in a scarcity mindset or a fixed mindset that will rob you of being your absolute best self?
Yeah, and I love those bands, get your mind right and snap the band. I love that idea of when you're getting a negative thought that you're beating yourself down with, snap the band, right? And change and rewire that thinking. How can people begin to rewire? Like if for instance, I say to myself, I'm too old to do this. I'm too out of shape. How could I rewire that? What would be a statement I could say to myself to change that thinking?
Well, one way is I am, is like one of my meditation I lead is called I am, and I am, and you fill in the blank. I am deserving of the success I achieve. I am deserving of the fruits that come my way. I am deserving of the responsibilities brought upon me as a leader. But you speak as if it's already happening. So in page 27 of my Impact Body Plan book, I talk about a decree. And a decree is what you want your life to be. And you write your decree as if it's already happened. So if you look forward 3 to 5 years from now or 10 years from now, what you want your life to look like, you write it in reverse. I am so happy and grateful now that. What have you created? So you start to use language in your own mind. You set mantras on your bathroom mirror, in your home office, everywhere you go, and you read it and you say it out loud. You share it with someone and you have reciprocity where you actually going to acknowledge someone, they acknowledge you back. I am this, and then you would say back, you are deserving of the success that you achieve. And you continually say it like a broken record over and over and over again, because typically one voice is shouting very loudly that you're not good enough. And there's a very soft, quiet voice that's speaking inside of you that's saying, you are beautiful, you are deserving, you are wonderful, you are abundant, whatever those words is. But we listen to the shouts. When I believe the spirit is within us, it's inside of us that we need to tap into that. And so listen to the whispers and then put your whispers down on paper. And it's an everyday practice. It literally is an everyday thing. It's not like once a week. It's not a couple times a week. It's every day, using words and verbiage to yourself that wires your brain, because since you've been a young girl or a young boy, you've been wired to think a certain way, or you have, certain hangups about money or about growth or success that mess us up, that really screw with our minds. And to me, that rewiring is important. When I studied NLP years ago and how you look at that, I even look at like neuroplasticity now in the fitness field and how important exercise and eating right and all that we do is important. I believe everything that comes into our brain is absolutely essential and feeds us what we're going to eventually think. So it's very important with who we hang out with, who we listen to, what we watch. All of these things are absolutely imperative to make sure that we get the right synapses firing in our brain to put us in a situation to succeed.
Yeah, and I really agree with you 100% about feeding your mind, feeding your brain, feeding your soul, feeding your spirit, really listening to things that lift you up, because there's a lot out there that will drag you down. So you've got to fill your cup, build yourself up, fortify yourself for life. And I've been listening to your podcast, where you were on somebody else's podcast, listening to you on your Facebook page. And I listened to you the other night because I'm training for a competition. And I listened to you twice, and I put it out there to my Sweat Online Challenge group because I loved your whole motivational message. Are you working hard enough for what you want? Are you committed? Are you challenging yourself forward? And so I listened to it a couple times. You did the whole wakey routine with the hoodie. And that was very much all out there. And I love it how out there it is. And I would love for you to give the audience a glimpse into a dose of with the hoodie.
Whoa. All right. So you want me to go morning turbo mode with the hoodie on like this. Yoo-hoo! Yeah, you know who it is. It's me, TD. That's right. Get your mind right. It's time to wakey and shake and rattle the world, baby, with all the purpose that's deep inside of you. You say you want it. You dream big. Now it's time to go get it. You got to go seize it. You got to grab it. And you got to smack fear straight in the face. I said the face, not the face. I said smack it in the face. Right now, today, you got to make sure you step up and you rise up and you be your best self. So dream big. Go get it. Make it happen. Smack fear in the face. And that's going to help you live your dreams. Go make it happen, baby. Keep the swag. Train hard, eat right, and live inspired. I'm out. Bah! There you go.
So that is the real deal, and I love it. And you guys did not see it here first because he's been doing that for quite some time. But where did you come up with the idea and the courage to really jump out there and where people just think, this guy's crazy?
How did I come up with it? Honestly, I was in my garage one morning. I have Fitness Quest 10 near my gym. I have a gym in my house, and I always text message my athletes, and I get in their heads because I think, athletes are no different than everyone else. You need additional accountability, motivation. And a while back, years ago, I just sent a video message to them acting like you just saw. I put my hoodie on, and I was like, yoo-hoo, yeah, you know who it is. It's me. GD. And guess what? You're still in the cover, all warm, getting comfy, cozy. Guess what? I'm already getting better than you. Better. B-E-T-T-A. Better. So wake it up and try to start catching up. So I sent this message, and all of a sudden, like, my phone started blowing up with the athletes I was hitting up, and they were talking smack, and they're like, I was in their head. And like a light bulb went off to me. Like, hey, as a coach, like, I got to do that. We need to do that. And like, it was kind of boring. And then now, like, they ask if I like have like too long of a time that goes by that I don't have it. They're like, hey coach, can you send me one of those videos? And I know when I hear that they need to get their mind right, because it's just kind of like, to me, when you're kind of like a kid again, when you kind of can play and you could just kind of like get down and show grit. For me, you put the hoodie on, I'm snapping bands, it's cold or whatever. And like, that's who you are. Then I think that's when you could just be your best self. And to me, like, that started that. And then when the Dose of Durkin, I literally started a Dose of Durkin, which every Monday morning goes out to anyone that wants it publicly. It's several types of like those types of messages that my athletes love. And that's how it was all born.
Well, I got a new one for you. I had a typo when I was typing to your assistant, and instead of workout, I spelled Dirk out. So Dose of Durkin, Dirk out.
Wow, I haven't used that one yet. Thank you, Linda. Let's go get a Dirk out. I like it.
But anyway, you got to have fun in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to have a little bit of fun once in a while. And I love the whole idea of getting in, you're a coach. You got to get in people's minds, because that's where it all starts, is up here. And you talk about that a lot, about how 90% of everything starts between the two ears, the brain.
No doubt.
And getting your mind right, getting, yourself with podcasts and how important are mentors? I mean, how important is that for people if they want to up level themselves?
Well, I think mentors it's a crucial aspect to success in one's life. I know my life changed in 2005. I read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's just an awesome book. And it talked in there about the power of a mastermind group. And it was really about your inner circle, the people that are you're closest to. When you surround yourself with fertile soil, people that lift you up and are cheerleaders and give you support, motivation, accountability. It opened up the idea of how do I, put myself in a position where I'm not always the smartest person in the room. Like, now I look to be not the smartest person in the room. I want to find other people that are smarter than me, that I can use my gifts with the people I work with, but I can always be learning from other people. So since that time now, over 10 years, I've always had mentors in my life since I've been in high school, but I'm always now learning from other people, both reading, listening to podcasts, going to live events. And one thing I would say also, you saw me do my hoodie thing and all that. Like, that's me. Like, I would tell people, like, you don't have, don't be me. Just find what works for you, but get outside your comfort zone and be that little boy or girl that's just kind of crazy, that like you just kind of like your alter ego that people love and that laugh at and have fun with, because that's what I do. And it brings out this person in me that I love. Like, I can just be that playful person and create impact. So I think it's important that people find their own niche and they find their own thing that they can do. And if, by the way, putting on a hoodie and yelling and screaming and being like that is your style, then do it. I think you got to find your style that's authentic with you and that's genuine and that resonates with your clients, and your people will let you know if they like it or not, because they'll be asking for more of it if so. But to me, that's that. I mean, mentors, you know, I know I would not be where I am today without the people that have been in my life that have mentored me in both business and leadership, as well as personally, spiritually, on all levels. Like, it's important to have people in your life that bring you profound wisdom.
Yeah, and I know Joel Osteen says you cannot soar with the eagles if you're walking with the chickens. So it goes right along with what you're saying as far as hanging out. It's the people you surround yourself with. It's the stuff you put in your mind. It's what you're filling your day with. And you are an amazing coach. What did you do to set yourself apart and become a coach? I mean, who did you model yourself after?
A couple things on that. First off, I had the great opportunity to meet Joel Osteen a couple years ago. I was a guest on his XM radio show.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
I was down in Houston, and it was great to be a guest there and to meet Joel and spend some time with him. And I learned a lot from him, and I like listening to his podcast as well. So I think that's, Joel has a great quote there, right? Like, as far as just who you're hanging out with and who you're soaring with, it's really, really critical. So that's something I use in my life all the time. And Linda, can you repeat your question, the second part of that?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So basically, I feel that you've become this amazing coach. You've learned how to get the best out of your students, clients, your athletes, and who model yourself after? Is there anything that inspired you, or how did you learn to be this amazing coach?
Well, thank you. I don't think I model myself after anyone. I think I'm more of a product of the people that I have learned and been a coach under, right? So, my mentors, right? Like, so my high school football coach, Coach Warren Wolf, was a legend, and he's a huge mentor in my life. He's huge on that. I also learned from coaches that I didn't want to be like. So some of the coaches I had in my life that I didn't necessarily like, I was like, if I ever go into coaching, I don't want to be like this. And sometimes when we're going through a tough time in life, you wonder why you're going through that tough time. But I also think that sometimes your biggest burdens are your biggest blessings. And sometimes the coaches that you don't like are the ones that actually impact you the most positively when you get into the field like that. I think some of my big breakthroughs were really in just me putting myself out there and taking risk and taking action on the things I always knew was in me. Like many people listening to your podcast today, there's probably a little voice inside of you that says, I'm special. I'm special. And maybe you have that inside of you where you know that, but you don't know how you bring it to the universe. You don't know how to bring it to fruition. I just find that amongst a lot of people that have gifts, but they don't know how to kind of scale them. That's a common feeling. So number one, it starts with that, knowing that you are special, that you do have unique gifts, and that you do have a life worth telling a story about. Then you have to have the audacity and the courage to actually share that with the world. And that's putting yourself out there. I think from a coaching perspective, I was never afraid to take risk and challenge myself and really literally to serve people. I think the best coaches are servant leaders, and coaches that are going to serve their clients, their members, their athletes, whatever it takes. And that often comes with a lot of sacrifice, 7 days a week, more hours than one could actually think about, way more hours than you get paid to do. It's constant sacrifice to make your client better, to make your athlete better, to make your family better, whatever it's going to take. It's relentless pursuit of excellence, like literally relentless pursuit of that. It's working on yourself. When I say you can only go as far as you grow, it's constant investment in yourself on all levels, not only in what you're reading and yourself, but like what can you do even with your own health. I believe trainers should have their own coaches. I believe that coaches should have coaches. I believe that we need mandatory personal care for ourselves when it comes to receiving body work and massage and mobility work, and these are the things that we need accountability as well. I know, me personally speaking, when I hired a nutritionist for myself, that was a huge change for me because I now had additional responsibility and accountability because I was reporting to a coach. The Dalai Lama has a spiritual coach. I'm like, the Dalai Lama is the holiest man in the world. How is that possible? Well, because everyone needs accountability and someone to report to. So sometimes people think, well, coaches or fitness trainers, it's easy for them to work out. It's no easier for a trainer to work out than anyone else that's working out at a gym. It's just the constant discipline that one shows or exhibits over time. But I do believe the best trainers and coaches either still have a coach or had many coaches in their life that impacted who they are today.
Yeah, and it's your habits. It's your habits. It's not that you are better or I am better. Somebody might think, oh, you compete all the time. No wonder you're this or that. It's what you repeatedly do that forms excellence, like Aristotle says. It's a habit. It's the habits. And I know your morning routine and your evening routine are like a ritual. Can you tell us a little bit about that and why you do it?
I do it because I found success with it. I found that when I am in my routine and I follow my best practices, that's when I'm my absolute best in work, in home, and everything I do. So I have, over a decade of time, have really tweaked my morning routines and evening routines. But let me tell you, they're pretty dialed in. And as long as I'm following them and I'm following my 13 rules I use for my life, then I know that I could be my best self. And I mean, that starts with the first thing I do in the morning is I do not turn on my phone first thing when I wake up. And that's because I don't want the emails, texts, social media posts coming in before I have a chance to get into my own routine. I want to dominate the day before the day dominates me. So I get into my own routine. Yeah. I don't turn the phone on. I literally go down and I'll take my swig of my apple cider vinegar and I'll get 15 minutes minimal.
Be careful with that. That can choke you up.
It can. It's just part of my routine. And then I get my quiet time in 15 minutes. I have a blank. I have my journal and I get my prayer time in, open up the word, and I listen, I pray, and I write. And I get that in, and I'm at that time, this is all before my early morning fasted cardio workout. And then I go into my home gym. And these are all before the kids wake up and my wife wakes up. And then I go get, at least 30 minutes of fasted cardio in. And I follow that up 3 days a week with strength training at my home. Other times I'm here at Fitness Quest 10. But all in all, it's about an hour and 15 minutes of my morning is my morning routine. And that's followed up with, when I'm done with that, with breath work and then breakfast time. And I'm a man of habit and creature when it comes to breakfast of what I eat. So my first hour and a half or so is really, really pretty on point. And if I'm following those things, then I know that I'm like fueled up and I'm prepared and armored up for what I need to make it a winning day. That doesn't mean it's going to be an easy day. It doesn't mean I'm not going to have challenge. I will. It means when a fire comes up, I'm better able and prepared to deal with that. So that's what I do, early morning routine. And then, of course, I have a nighttime routine as well.
Awesome. I love that. What time do you get up in the morning?
Depends on what day, but typically 5 o'clock. Sometimes sometimes a little bit earlier, depending on what's going on. And sometimes, if I'm sleeping in, I might make it to 5:30. But I don't use an alarm clock, and I always want to beat the sun up. I don't like the sun beating me up.
It's a competition. And it's kind of a little bit of that old saying, early bird gets the worm, right?
Yeah. And part of it is because I think sleep is important. And depending on what projects I'm on, if I'm on a writing project or a big project, and I've got a window of time of, maybe 2-3 hours at night after the kids go to sleep, I do try to get 6 hours minimum of sleep a night. 7's ideal. 7 hours a night to me is like a 3-day vacation. So if I get 3 hours, I am like on fire. But 6 hours minimum, well on less than 5 hours. So this is, again, I'm not making my recommendations here. I'm just simply sharing what I do, what works for me. And, I'm an advocate of trying to get to 7 hours. But if I'm on a project that keeps me up till 11 o'clock, then I'm going to get up at 5 o'clock because I need to get my at least 6 hours in.
Awesome. Yeah. And I'm a big believer that you got to get some sleep for recovery. And so you are firing on all pistons. What gives you this energy that I'm seeing? Because you have a ton. Is it because you're following your passion? Is it your nutrition? Is it your exercise program? Or all of the above?
If any one of those is out of whack, I'm out of whack. So if any of those, including what you talked about, my passion. So if I'm going down rabbit holes that aren't fueling me, and I'm spending time on things that aren't going to matter in 3 years from now, I'm not happy and I'm not fueled. So I always believe that you got to find the 5 things that you're most passionate about in life, and you got to spend 80% of your time doing the things that you love to do. I love to speak. I love to write. I love training people. I love leadership, and I love family time. When opportunities come, if they deal with one of those 5 things, the answer is typically yes. But if not, I try to then I'll either say no to that, or I'm going to then give that to someone that could possibly help me if I need to do it, help me achieve that. But I try to hang my hat on the things I love to do. Not that I'm always doing it, but I don't want to spend the majority of my time doing things I don't love to do. So I've adopted this saying, do what you do best and hire the rest. And that has fueled me quite well since the early 2000s. And a lot of people think, well, yeah, but I don't have the money to hire a receptionist, or I don't have the money to do this. Go to this workshop. Yeah, but what happens typically is when you hire that person, they create you the money that you need to do more of what you need to do, so that you can be more of who you want to be. And that's a shift in mindset on that stuff. So the energy comes from all of those things. If I wasn't training, or if I'm eating like garbage, and I'm eating too much sugar and I just don't feel it, I'm not going to have vibrant energy. If I'm not following my best practice that work for me, I'm not going to have the energy I need to serve the people I want to serve and get the message out I want to get out. So the fact of even like your podcast today, to me, I look at this as, okay, how does it serve one of my 5 passions? To me, that's speaking. Because if I want to impact millions of people positively in my lifetime, and I know that there are people that are listening to this that are fire-breathing dragons that are going to spread your message and share this and everything else, then that fuels me to know that there are people on here that'll probably email me or hit me up on social media and say, hey, Todd, thanks so much. I love that. I was spurred on to actually living my dream, to take this step that was scary as heck. You spurred me into action, and I'm a better man or woman for that today. That's why I'm here. That's why I do what I do.
I love that. And I'm just going to do a little bit of a backstory on you, where you, once upon a time, you played football and you basically got something wrong with your back. I'll let you fill that part in, but the degeneration of your spine and your dreams that you had were not going to be looking like a reality. And I know you tell people all the time that, people go through difficult times before they soar. Why is the blessing in being broken? And kind of relate this to your story.
Why is the blessing being in the broken? Well, here's the deal. No one likes to be broken. No one likes adversity. No one likes challenge. But when you look back in your life, the times that were typically most formative were the times where you overcame significant adversity or challenge. So the story you were alluding to, for me, 1995, I was playing professional football in Europe. I was a quarterback. I got hit by 2 linebackers. They came in and sandwiched their helmet in my lower back. I laid motionless on a football field in Aix-en-Provence, France. And despite having many, many injuries over my career, I was 25 years old at the time. I knew that this one was different. I had had concussions, I had had sprains and strains, but I had never felt this pain like this before, where I couldn't move my legs. And when I got carted off the field, the doctor took me, we went to the hospital and they took MRIs, and he said, I have a back problem. They have 3 herniated discs, spinal stenosis, and degenerative back disease. Your football career is over. And I remember literally to this day where I was standing in that hospital, And I remember hearing those words because for 25 years I had a dream to play in the NFL. And I knew at that day that that dream was over. And I felt lost for many, many months. I was taking Vicodin because of the pain. I had a nurse come into my condo twice a day to shoot me up with painkillers. I was doing some serious soul searching about my life and my dreams and my passion. And I didn't know what it was. And from 25 to 30, practically ages 25 to almost 30, I lived in 11 cities in less than 5 years. And in that time, I was literally just seeking out gurus in the healing world. I just wanted to heal my own back pain. I just wanted to overcome this injury and find out how I could get back to just feeling good again and maybe jogging. And lo and behold, looking back now, that was one of the biggest blessings of my life, because what happened is the people I met, the mentors I studied under, the gurus I learned from, literally the gurus in the energy world, healing world, physical therapy, osteopathy, Reiki, you name it, I studied under them. And I didn't know at the time that I was going to get into opening up my own gym and working with athletes and clients that want to improve their own performance. I didn't realize I'd become a motivational speaker. I just was trying to heal my own self. But by seeking out the best in the world and what they do over that 5-year period, and literally living on people's couches and shacking up with people anywhere I could just to learn under a guru, was one of my biggest blessings. And it became in one of the deepest, darkest times of my life. I don't know if I've ever really been depressed, but that's about as close as I've ever been to being depressed, of when you're, in that state of mind. So I know what it's like to be in physical pain and to feel emotional pain. And, whenever I look back, like most people listening in, when you think about what are some of the toughest times of your life, many of my biggest blessings have come from my biggest setbacks or challenges in life. And we never want them. I don't want any more, but I know they're going to come. And I know by embracing them and literally embracing them, that it can help you live a better life and ultimately help you deepen your own purpose for what you want in life. If you have the courage to go deep on that, then I believe then you can impact more people.
And that's kind of what you mean. You say embrace the grind, embrace the struggle. Is that kind of what we're going with here? Because I really do believe there is a...
Yeah. Well, I've always said embrace the grind, and here's why. Because in 1995, when I had back pain, I remember fighting that pain and literally saying, I'm going to overcome this pain. I'm going to do this. And I think there's times in your life where you got to fight. But I also there's got to be times when you actually stop and embrace it. And what I mean by this is, my oldest sister of 5, her name is Patty. She owns a day spa back in New Jersey. And when I was going through this time, she said, Todd, embrace your back pain and learn from it. And I thought about that, like, what does she mean by that? But when she said that, it really rang home, because instead of fighting the pain, I was now going to embrace it and learn from it. And I shifted my mindset. Instead of fighting it and then I was going to literally fight it and overcome it that way, that I was going to use it to my advantage and use it to overcome it by embracing it. So now what I say is, embrace your struggle, embrace your grind, embrace the pain. Is that if you're going through a tough time or a struggle, yes, there's times when we got to fight and dig down deep, but there's got to be times when you say, okay, pain, what are you teaching me? What lesson are you trying to teach me? How can I use this as a lesson to help other people go through this? And I have found that when I'm going through a tough time, if I can shift my perspective instead of always just fighting, and there are times that I'm going to fight, but there's times that I'm going to embrace as well. And I'm going to embrace the grind. Like I often talk about the climb, that if we can learn to love the process and learn to love the climb, then that's going to be the beauty of it, because it's not always about the destination. As a matter of fact, a lot of times you get to the destination and it's not what you thought it was. It's about the process. It's about the process of climbing all the time and getting the character that you need to get to the destination. You finally get to that wow moment, I call it, that wow moment in your life. And like all of a sudden now, then you have bigger aspirations, or you have a different challenge that you got to face, or someone lays upon you a different challenge that you want to, get into. So to me, that life is this harmony. It's up and down harmony. And when you can tap into your spirit, when you can tap into your divine purpose, then I believe then you can do your best work. It's going to take challenge. There's going to be times when you question yourself. That's why the army that you surround yourself with is important, because we all need cheerleaders around us that are our biggest believers in us. So whatever your gifts are, whatever your dreams are, whatever you want to put on paper, then you've got to make sure that you can go out and do that. And that when challenge happens, it doesn't shut you down. It just sharpens you and makes you better.
Yeah, and I feel like, when I tore my ACL, somebody told me to find the gift in it. And,
Yes.
I was on my back. I never slowed down. And now there was a gift in it. I met amazing people I would have never met. I took a college I would have never taken. I did things that changed my life overall. So I totally believe in your struggle. Look for it hard enough. And, I know sometimes we can be our worst enemies. I saw one of your videos where you talk a lot about how we, sometimes can be our own worst enemies. How can we stop being our own worst enemy?
Yeah, that's tough. How do you stop from becoming your own worst enemy? I think this is the struggle that a lot of people have. And that literally is winning the battle between the ears, right? That's not beating yourself up and not telling yourself that you're not good or you're not worth it or you can't do it, because it does take you to have the forthright to go forward and move forward and do the things that you want to do. It's the self-talk, I think, is very important. The self-talk every single day that you have with yourself, the thousands of conversations that you have morning, evening, afternoon, night, whenever it is, that you don't beat yourself up. I think that's a really important aspect of that. And your own enemy is why are you your own worst enemy? I often say, well, why is that? Why are you your own worst enemy? What don't you believe in? Why don't you believe in that? Right? Why is that the case? And typically when you ask yourself 3, 4, 5 questions of why, you get to the actual answer of what it is that you're scared of. Because typically it's fear that's holding us back. Fear of what other people might think, fear that you might not amount to who you want to be or what your parents might think about you, fear of what if it doesn't work out, fear of success. What if it does work out and manifest and life becomes bigger and I can't handle it? These are all real things. But I always say fear is nothing more than, face everything and rise. Face everything and rise. Face it, deal with it, smack it straight in the face, and then go get it and just keep connecting with the people that you want to connect with in life.
And you talk a lot about, going and getting it and all of that, but you also talk on your blog about getting clarity by getting some mellow yellow time and some big sky time. What is that?
Well, that comes from one of my mentors, Wayne Cotton. And, remember this is when you get clarity, there's nothing greater in your life than when you get clarity on what you want to do, because then you can eliminate what's holding you back or even what's distracting you, right? There's a lot of times we get done with our day. We're like, what did we accomplish? What did we do? Well, that's usually from lack of clarity. Now, I reverse engineer my success in my life, and I have a life plan. I do this with my mastermind and my mentorees that I do is literally reverse engineer where you want your life to go. But Wayne Cotton, many years ago, taught me about the 4 color-coded calendar system, And with that, there's 4 colors, 2 of them being yellow and blue. Yellow is mellow yellow, and blue is blue sky time. The other one is green machine when you're making money, and then red, which is red tape, organizational stuff. But he said if you want to make more green machine, you got to spend more time in mellow yellow and blue sky time. I said, well, mellow yellow, is that when you're on vacation? He said, yes. I said, well, how do you make money when you're on vacation? He said, Todd, what do you love to do? I said, I love time in the mountains. I absolutely love time in the mountains. I can think big. I get my big ideas there. And he said, exactly. When you are away and you're in your mellow yellow time and you're just totally away, you're not thinking of work. And all of a sudden you get these big ideas that come out because you're in nature. You're in a place that, in a different stratosphere, and your mind just goes to your best, your best self. And what's happened is in my life, especially the last decade, the more mellow yellow time I get reignited with passion. I get refueled with enthusiasm. So the more I create, the more I need to get mellow yellow time to fuel the spirit. The blue sky time, which I try to get 1 to 2 days every 30 days on blue sky time. It used to be 3 days every 90 days. What I learned from Tony Robbins is the more successful you get, you need to start taking monthly time to work on your business. Blue sky time is just working on your business and not in your business. This is working on your business and life strategy. How much money do you want to make? What do you want to create? What's your purpose? What are you driven to do? How are you going to do it? When are you going to do it by? What are your action steps? What are your moonshot ideas? What are your vivid descriptions that are going to allow you to create what you want to create? So when you have this written down, your blue sky time, and I'll spend a couple of days literally working on this, and you have your script, your recipe, and you follow that, you're much more likely to create success because you've written it down and you can follow it. Remember that writing creates clarity. Clarity precedes genius. Writing creates clarity. Clarity precedes genius. That means if I get mellow yellow time, I'm in the mountains, I have a great big idea, and I couple that with I'm writing down blue sky time. I'm writing down all of the ways I'm going to execute that dream to happen. And I have who I need to connect with, how it's going to happen, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to write, what books I'm going to work on, or what blogs I'm going to write, what Facebook Lives or podcasts am I going to do, whatever it is. And I have a plan. Then it's more likely to happen and it's more intentional. So that's why mellow yellow and blue sky time is incredibly pertinent that anyone needs to work on. It doesn't need to be expensive vacations. It could be simply getaways in your own community where you get away and you go for a walk in nature, you go out snowshoeing, skiing, whatever it is, or if you enjoy the beach, whatever that time is that you enjoy, and all of a sudden you get these big ideas. Everyone's got great ideas, but most people don't put them on paper, create the action steps that are needed, and then have the courage to actually take action on those action steps. That'll put you into momentum phase, and momentum gets you moving because momentum means mo happiness, mo money, mo everything you do. So you got to get Uncle Mo in your life and great things will happen.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And I also love how you talk about motivation, comes from the head and inspiration comes from the heart. And I just want to acknowledge you on that you're following, you're motivating, but you've been following your heart. So you're inspiring and you're making an impact on others all over the globe. And I just want to thank you so much today for coming on the podcast and giving 100% motivation and energy to the listeners out there. I'm sure they're going to get a ton out of this. And you have volunteered to give to a lucky winner. What is it? An impact hoodie? Can they see it?
Well, they can see it probably right behind me. That impact hoodie.
Right.
You don't want the one I have on. It smells really bad. It's got stains all over it. You want probably a nice clean one on that. So that, and then the Wow book as well, because we all want more magical moments in our life. The Wow book will help you do that. I think we have to all commit to reading on an ongoing basis. We got to stay committed to our own personal routine. And Linda, I love what you said about motivations in your head and inspiration in your heart. Remember, motivation is an everyday thing. You got to make sure that you commit to daily practices of what's going to allow you to stay sharp up top. Listen to podcasts, reading books, hanging out with the right people are all going to help stay motivated. But if you're motivated but you're not inspired, it's hard to sustain that, right? So if you're not inspired in your heart, you got to find your passion. And maybe it's different than what you're doing right now. And that takes a lot of courage to overcome that, to shift gears and to change, because change is often tough. But when you seek out where you find the most happiness in your life, where the passion is, what you love to do, like truly love to do, how do you build your life around that? So there's about 16 inches that separates our head from our heart. And that's all that is between success and failure, 16 inches. What's failing? Is it your heart or is it your head? And if it's your heart that's failing, you got to get your heart right. If it's your head that's failing, you got to literally snap your band, get your hoodie on, and you got to get your mind right and start to really get motivated again. Attend a live event, hang out with people that inspire you, all these things. And now all of a sudden you got your head and heart working together. When your head and your heart are working together, I'm telling you, great things happen.
And that's when you get your wow moment. So everybody out there, we want you to either Facebook it, or you can send it to chickfit@chickfit.me, my email. We want to know what your wow moment was and how you impacted others to win the hoodie and the book.
What I love to see, Linda, with them is a couple things on your Facebook is not only maybe one wow moment that they created, but I love to also see in a wow moment, what wow moment you're going to create in your life this month. So what wow moment you're going to create this month. That gives you a very specific action step that you can measure whether whether it's going to happen or not. It might be at the dining room table tonight. It might be with a date night with your spouse or significant other. That could be with a conversation you're going to have with a teammate. That could be a vacation you're going to book for 2 months from now, or just kind of a spontaneous ski trip you're going to take. Like, these are all the things. And I use the word #contagiasm. Contagiasm stands for contagious enthusiasm. Contagious enthusiasm. So, Linda, if they want the hoodie, they got to put #contagiasm in there and put gray hoodie. If you want the wow book, #contagiasm and #the wow book. So put in there, and Linda's going to choose 2 random people. But I want to see what you're going to do to create a wow moment in the next 30 days so you can create more magical moments in your life.
I love it. I love it. That is putting it out there. And then we're going to get some people creating some momentum.
No doubt.
Awesome.
Mo, baby.
Awesome.
Get some mo.
Oh my God. I have loved every minute of this. And I just thank you so much for coming on. I want to have you on again already because you're just so full of passion, motivation, inspiration, energy, enthusiasm, and you love giving to others. And that is what I look for in a great guest.
Well, Linda, I'm honored to be here. Thank you for what you're doing with your community. And hopefully if I'm ever in your area, if you're listening in, that we can connect. I love connecting with other fire-breathing dragons that want to inspire the world to greatness. That's what fires me up. So definitely connect with me, connect with Linda, keep doing great things, be a lighthouse to inspire the world.
And in the words of the great Elaine Lillian, keep on keeping on. Thanks, everybody, for listening to this episode of the Sisterhood of Sweat.
Love it. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
That's a wrap.
Awesome. Well,